Well, hello, Miss Eccentric. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. This is Marjorie Waldo, everybody, with Arts Garage. I'm sitting today with Eccentric, who is the playwright responsible for Bunker, which is coming to the Arts Garage stage on October 24th as a live stream staged reading, which is our first effort with theater as a live stream, but I think it's going to be really cool. We're
Oh,
excited.
wow. We're honored to be the first to get this kicked off. We have great plans for the reading. We hope everybody enjoys it, and thank you for having us.
We're very excited. So you've been writing for a long time. You are a celebrated poet, an award-winning poet. You are a spoken word poet primarily, correct?
Correct.
So tell us about when you started writing.
Um, I started getting serious. I got introduced to poetry, spoken word poetry, in my freshman year at the University of Florida through the Black Student Union at an open mic. And I was entranced, and the host actually challenged me to write a poem. And the rest is history. That is also where I got my stage name, Eccentric, from the host. Um, and that's when it started. But it was funny because my mother, I was over at the house the other day and she was like, "You remember writing this?" And I'm like, "No." And it was something from second grade for Mother's Day. I made a book. She was like, "It's your first book." And it's very short poems, like 3 lines, and cartoon characters that I gave her for Mother's Day. So apparently, I've been writing for quite some time.
A long
But I got
time.
serious, yeah, I got serious about it in 2012.
Okay.
So that's when I started really taking it seriously. That's what I want to do with my life, kind of thing, and realized that I had a gift.
And you've done with a team of people, you've done a slam poetry festival where you guys have been winners a couple of times, yes?
Yes, I have been a part of Team Dada's, and we placed first in the nation 2000, second in the nation 2016, first in the nation 2018 or something like that. And we always kind of ranked high on that list, so that was very exciting. And then as an individual poet, I was ranked seventh in the world in 2018.
That's unbelievable. Congratulations. Those are big
Thank
things.
you.
Really, really big things. So when is Bunker your first play?
No, so Bonker, my first place was a full length called Everything That Glitters. It was bringing light to domestic violence. It was a drama kind of with comedy breaks in it. That debuted 2 years ago, so 2018. That was sold out to about 330. And then we did an encore that did another 210 or so. And Bonker is my first one act, and it is something that I wanted to explore, more economical, more direct plays, saying exactly what you need to say in shorter words. So it is my first attempt at a one act.
Okay. So why don't you tell us a little bit, don't give away the farm. Tell us a little bit about Bunker and what the concept is.
All right, so I'm gonna try to make a long story short. So Bonker is derived, if you can believe it or not, from a 3-minute poem. So I have a poem called Bonker, but Bonker tells a story in 3 minutes. I haven't been able to write a poem in about 2 years. I've had a house fire, I've had some kids, so it's been a little difficult to kind of create the space for a poem, but I found that I was creative in other areas. So I turned this poem into a one act play. So the premise of Bonker is, I'll tell you how it came to be. We were driving in the car, and there's a lot of police cars pulled over doing something. And I had my 2 young sons in the car, and I just was curious, and I was like, well, how does that make you feel seeing so many police? And they started talking about how it made them feel. One was apprehensive and scared that if we passed by, we could be somehow involved. And this is from a kid who, since he was 3, wants to be a police officer. So it was very, very strange to hear them talk about their fear in that sense. And then I realized I could have been projecting that fear onto them, because as a mother of Black children, you have the responsibility to prepare them for what they'll face outside of your house. So I wrote Bonker from the standpoint of preparing my children for a world that would welcome them and sometimes not likely. And then by the end of the poem, you're realizing you might be projecting a little too much on them and taking away some innocence and some childhood that children should have. So that's the premise. It's trying to find that balance between preparation, but allowing them to be children and knowing that we won't always get it right.
Yeah, it's hard enough to be a mom of young people, and I mean teenagers, because
Oh,
they're independent.
teenagers.
It's tough anyway. And especially boys who are impulsive generally and need to, sort of make their stamp in the world as soon as they can and get out from under mom's thumb. And I think that the conversation that's beginning to happen more consistently or more openly about race in America and about the challenges that Black families face that are very different from the families of white privilege, which is undeniable in my opinion. And I think it's very timely what you've written. And I think it's very important. When I read it to see if I wanted to invite you to produce it with me, are you still there? I think we zapped out. Is it my internet or yours? Tell me when you're back. There you are. I lost you for a minute. So I think it's timely that we share this with people, because I think people are open to listening to what is a very complicated and emotional subject. And I'm hoping that we have a lot of people who tune in to watch the live stream. I really, really do. I think,
as am I.
Yeah, so the Arts Garage believes that the arts are incredibly powerful and have the ability to do all kinds of things. They bring people together that normally would not be caught in the same room together. People of different interests, races, economic backgrounds, gender, everything. And they're sort of in universal language that equalizes everybody and gives you a common platform, right? So what do you think about the power specifically of theater? But you could speak to poetry too if you wanted. But I'm very curious about your view of theater in the world today. In particular, we've got a pandemic, we've got the racial injustice and the protest as a result of that injustice, and the very politicized response to that protesting. What do you think theater's role is, or what is the power that theater has to address some of that?
So I think as I started getting into writing plays, and what I found most interesting are the gaps in theater. So theater is not meant to tell you every step between A and Z, because it's almost impossible in a live setting, right? To fill in all of the blanks. So what I think the art of theater does is it's going to tell this story, but it's going to leave places for you to insert yourself into this story, regardless if it's with the main character or a sub character, or how do you feel about what somebody said. It makes you examine yourself, because you have to fill in just small little gaps, because we can't show you and we can't say everything just because it's impossible. So I think the role of theater is, if art imitates life, then we have to bring it to life on stage, boldly, loudly. We have to give people the option of inserting themselves into the play, the production, in order to get back what you want them to get from it. And that's a good thing about art. Everybody is going to take something different from this play, something different from live theater, something different from a character, whether you're white or you're Black or you're Hispanic or whatever you are. You're going to take something different because your perspective is different and your experiences are different. So I think the purpose of theater is to highlight, make you uncomfortable, so uncomfortable until you can't do anything but go home stew over it and change whatever that means for you. So I think that's the role of theater, of the arts, of poetry, of dance, of music, of exhibitions, of everything, is to leave enough for our audience to insert themselves so that they can do some real examining of their internal issues of what they're seeing.
I like that. I like that idea of being able to insert yourself in the story so that you can find a way to identify in a way you might not have been able to otherwise. I've taught my kids, and I remind myself regularly to question everything I think. And I think for me, theater is a big part of that. So I'm an old English teacher for many, many years before I became a principal, and then changed careers completely and found myself at arts. And when I taught literature, it was impossible for me to tell the kids that I was teaching exactly what I thought the author wanted to say. But I have you here. So is there anything that you would want to share, which you might refuse to answer, and I'm cool with that? Is there anything you hope the audience takes from Bonker specifically, other than the ability to think about it, stew on it, look at yourself in that frame, and maybe see or be a conversation starter? Is there anything else you'd want the audience to take away?
Probably two things off the top of my head, thinking out loud. The first being the children that are in the play, and the child that is depicted in the play. Our children are not really given the luxury of being kids. And I'll give an example. My 14-year-old is probably about 5'10". He's probably 170 pounds. He's a big kid. Our children are seen as adults far earlier than children their age outside of the Black demographic. So one, when you're seeing these children reading and you're hearing Kalan's story, I want people to know that we have children too, that they're gonna make mistakes, that they're not gonna think about some things, that they might steal some gum. I mean, who hasn't? But they're children, and the brain doesn't stop developing until we're 25 years old. And that is very, very important to note, because they are kids, and we have to give Black children leeway to make some of the same mistakes that their counterparts make. And then the second thing, as a Black woman, Black mother, the Black mother projected in this play is a lot of me. We don't always get it right, but we never not get it right intentionally. So it is to allow us to speak without fear of being ridiculed or judged, or whatever the case may be. You hear that the Black woman is the most unprotected, being on this planet. And sometimes, I know we were talking earlier about feeling invisible. Sometimes not just Black mothers, but mothers, but in particular in this case, Black mothers feel invisible, and she's just trying to do what's best for her and her family. So take away that we're not all that different. We're all doing the best we can with what we have. And if you take away anything, take away knowing that this Black mother and her Black son are just doing the best they can. And we're people, and we're human, and we matter.
I love that. I love that. All right, so this is a staged reading. It's a one-act play. There are 3 characters and a narrator.
4 characters.
4 characters plus a narrator?
No narrator.
No narrator, sorry. Okay.
It's okay.
Sorry about that. So 4 characters, and it lasts about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. So there will be no intermission, obviously. It'll be a staged reading. It'll be on our stage with professional sound and lights. And it is October 24th at 7 p.m.
Yes, I'm so excited. We plan to do some light work and some movement in between the reading. We plan to create some sound and music in there so that it's not one note. We hope you enjoy it so much.
Well, and I'm going to tell you now that once everybody's open again and we can get back to life at some level of normalcy, of our own remembrance, which has been a few months now, I'd love to get it as a full production with a full audience, a live audience. Maybe if Palm Beach County does well and coronavirus minds its own business, we can get some people in the room with you at the end of October. So, all right, Eccentric, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for trusting this project in such it's a time such as this. There's
sure
a lot
is.
going on. And I think we're all feeling the effects of it. This is the appropriate time. Thank you for being and allowing us to have this space to speak, allowing us to present something that is hard to talk about, but needs to be spoken about, and not just for white people and Spanish people, but trust me, for Black people as well. We also have to start the conversation of gun violence in our community. We also have to start the conversation of single parent households and, you know, trying to do the best we can in therapy and things like that. So I really appreciate you giving us this space in a time such as this.
Anytime. Anytime. Very grateful that you're sharing.
More to come.
More to
Hopefully.
come. We hope. We know. We're going to make it happen. We've got a couple of badasses here, so we're going to make it happen.
All right.
All right, Eccentric, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. See you guys on the 24th.
24th. Okay, bye.
All righty. Bye-bye.